table.
I'm gonna
You're
bump
separating
our
her from the
table.
group.
We'll bump Arcana again and just like head nod towards them as they walk back in.
So you're gonna, you know, she'll ask you if you're embarrassed by her.
No, I'm trying to keep things quiet and private between us.
She'd like to meet your friends.
Oh, if that's the case, then I'll take her over to the rest of the group.
Okay. So for the rest of you, what you've seen, right, is that Lucian has left with this young lass. About 25 minutes later, the two of them come back. She looks, as soon as the door opens, Lucian is, I'm guessing, his normal pouty self, but she is looks, there's a huge smile on her face. She's kind of draped herself on his arm. He seems more comfortable with him than when they left.
I look at Forrest and just say, rat problem.
Okay. And she kind of nods to say yes. Is the grotesque things, right? And kind of giggles a little bit, maybe.
I'm sure they put up a mighty fight.
Oh, they did.
And she'll ask to meet your friends, and you take her over to the table.
Yes, and introductions all around.
Okay. So she's very pleasant to all of you. And she just goes and sits next to Cadence and clearly is, trying to occupy the same seat while still, in her own chair, but that kind of situation. Oop.
I'm being very cordial towards her, but not like nearly as affectionate as she's trying to be.
Sure. No, and she doesn't, she's not trying to make a scene by any stretch of the imagination. But she wants everybody at the table and everybody at the bar to know that she is at least physically the closest person to you, right? So she's putting out those kinds of vibes. Okay. So later, any shopping that anybody needs to do? If
anyone goes to the general store, today might not be the best day. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Sure. So at the
Well,
mention of that, she says
eyebrows immediately raised.
She does apologize. Her dad, her father is a bit hot-headed and didn't understand that why the two of us
They were very big rats.
That exactly, but
there was some collateral damage in the basement.
There were two enormous rats that Cadence just stared right down, and I mean her boobs, dude. I'm talking about her boobs. That's what I'm talking about. Anyway,
Gib would like to point out if he needs a potion to help him next time, he can maybe give assistance.
Oh my god!
I'm just gonna go. I'm quite experienced with taking care of rats.
This guy.
I'm sure you are.
I'm also pretty sure that he wouldn't be able to be any deceptive about how he meant that.
You're saying that Gib is not trying to be
very
deceptive at all?
Faced.
Okay.
He's not trying to be deceptive.
Oh, right. He's just like, man, if you need help, you come see the Gib Master, and it will take care of you. Okay. I got this little these blue potions here, blue elixirs of long lasting. Okay, so the morning goes on. Bethania's, doing her normal gig. Amiko seems to have recovered from the quarrel with her father, and as the day kind of progresses, or the morning rather progresses, pretty uneventful at that point. Does anybody want to do any shopping or anything this morning? Do you want to check in with the sheriff? I'm not trying to guide you anywhere in particular. I just want to make sure that I'm not speeding past opportunities that you guys want to take.
Yeah, I actually want
know.
to check with both the sheriff and Father Santos.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not quite sure what, like, story-wise we're doing because I was gone last week, so I don't
You were
know
gone
what
last
our.
week?
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Didn't even notice.
Never would have
Oh,
known.
that's right, because Mar took over. That's right.
Mar did that great
That's
speech.
the
in the
right
end.
the
Yep.
shimmy scimitar exactly.
The
Mhm.
shimmy
There
There
tar.
was
Yes.
also
So
the speech.
You're welcome.
if there's no real reason for us to be here, is there any?
We
What do you mean
should
by
probably
be
check in
here?
with the sheriff.
We were just having breakfast. I think, yeah, we should head off to the sheriff. Maybe see if
If he
there's a
figured
path
out
to
what was
follow into the forest.
So-
I did want to check with you, Patty. Would I be able to get some poisons potentially, or would that be something I would have to like not find in a regular shop?
I mean, you have like what kind of poisons are you trying to get?
Some black adder venom.
Yeah, at this point, right? You could attempt to make your way to either the what's it called? There's a goblin place, Goblin Solutions or something like that. Probably be your best bet as far as
I also have a bonus now to finding things with survival, I think. Or was it nature? I don't remember.
I don't know either.
Hold on, I have to find it.
You're talking about if you were to go out foraging.
Yeah, like to find you
Okay.
know, plants or wild animals, stuff to procure from the
Okay.
wild.
So, at the mention of, I guess, poisons, Forrest, kind of pipes up and says that he might be able to go find something if you're looking for something specific. But it sounds like you need a snake venom. Is that right? You said black adder venom
Yeah.
that you're looking for. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, he's able to do that, but you can also, make a trip to basically the potion shop and see if they have something available there. Is it
Alright.
do you know what level item is or how
2.
much money it is?
It's 2 and it is 6 gold.
6 gold? All right, let me see. Yeah, so you make your way to bring up the name of the place. It is called. Where are we at? Oh, it's not that. Jewelers, Northways, Garrison, Town Hall. You might want to try. You could do Pillbug's Pantry. If it's Bottled Solutions, that's what it's called, or Bottled Solutions. One of those two places is probably your best bet for finding something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try out at Bottled Solutions.
Okay. So the thing that you've heard is that with Bottled Solutions, you've got a 5 to 10% chance that what they sell you isn't going to work.
Then I try the other alternative that I have not heard bad
Okay.
things about yet.
All right. Yeah, so, if you have somebody who, so if you've got a crafter with you, you can bring them along and they should
I
be
am
able to
a
determine
crafter.
whether. What's that?
I have crafting.
Okay. So you could at Bottled Solutions, you could check first, and with a crafting check, right? You'd be able to tell whether or not it fell into that 5% or not.
Okay.
Or you can just go to Pillbug's Pantry.
I'll just go to the one that doesn't have a terrible reputation at this point. So
Okay.
yeah, I'll go to Pillbugs.
Okay, so there's a let's see, Aliver, Aliver.
Mhm.
Potiker is there. Human male. You see all sorts of herbs, and plants, dried up plants and all that other kind of stuff. Sort of lining the walls. You see, mortar and pestles and, things that to be, part of the alchemical trade. He has, he has a very distinct look, similar to most of the people that you see in Standpoint in terms of ethnicity wise. He seems like he's from the area.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. This is gonna be. So you're gonna ask him about poisons?
Yeah, I just be like, yeah, with the goblin problem, just be like, want something extra just in case.
Yeah. I don't know how you're supposed to know this because there's like a. So what I'll do, I will let him. There'll be a conversation. Well, I'll tell you what. You're gonna need to give me a diplomacy check.
Ah, fuck. All right. Diplomacy.
Where is he at the moment?
Well, so he's at the Pillbug's Pantry.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So
good
you can either I mean, there's diplomacy. Intimidation's a thing. It depends on what you want to do, right? Do you want to try and deceive him in that the sheriff is giving you permission to purchase poisons? Do you want to, try and be diplomatic with him and fight and smooze him in some way, shape, or form, or do you want to, try to intimidate him into giving them to you?
I'm being straight up honest. I'm like, look, I'm helping out with the sheriff with some things, and it's looking like I might need some poisons to help deal with some of the creatures we're gonna come across. So, looking to get some of that.
So go ahead and here. What's your bonus to perception?
Perception?
Yeah.
8.
Okay. So at the mention of poisons, right, you can see that it makes him a little uncomfortable. He says something along the lines of, he's a reputable shopkeeper, and he there's not really much reason for a reputable shopkeeper to be selling poisons. Go ahead and give me a diplomacy check if you're trying to do this through, normal conversation.
Can I throw down a gold?
Are you gonna try and bribe him?
No, just a fee for information. On like where I could find it.
So are you asking him where you could find some poisons, or you're asking him like what do you?
I mean, either or. Like if he might have some in stock that can help us out, or if he might know where I could potentially get some.
Okay, and so go ahead and take the gold off your.
Yeah.
You set the gold down while asking him the question, and he kind of picks up the gold, looking it over essentially. He'll take it over to an alchemy set and test it to make sure that it's real. And he says something along the lines of, if you know the right people, most things are available in Sandpoint.
That's super helpful.
But you have to... They have to trust you, is what he'll say. So essentially, what you would do is you would use diplomacy to try and
Yeah.
change his. If you wanted to increase his or decrease his enmity level towards you, right?
Yeah.
Or increase the, kind of how he's feeling about you. You can
Oh, yeah.
using diplomacy is one
Please.
way to go about doing that.
Just shirk.
Right.
That decreases your enmity. Trust me.
Right.
God damn it.
Deflect
Alright.
it. Deflect it.
Oof.
So you do a terrible job of it, and you feel lucky that you haven't been thrown out. Essentially,
Mm-hmm. Alright.
he tells you can probably go try your luck at bottled solutions. You'll probably have better luck there.
Alright. Well. Do I see anything around the shop, like as I'm just kind of in here perusing?
Most of the things that are on display are, regular healing related, either treating afflictions or, there's definitely some ingredients there that you recognize as, whether it be providing aid or providing, essentially healing power, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You don't see anything else. The store portion of it appears smaller than the outside of the building would indicate, but you've also noticed that, with other shops where there's a residence of some site, potentially either in the back or, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't see, there's a door in the back of, behind the counter that has remained shut the whole time.
Okay. Alright. Well, well, Christmas sucks. Alright. Yeah, I guess I'll go check out Bottled Solutions then.
Okay.
Thank him for the time, Move on.
Okay. So, you head into Bottled Solutions. It's as it's appeared every time Gibb's gone there. There is a half-elf alchemist, Nisk Tander, who's there. He again, this I don't know if you remember, but it's incredibly cluttered. It doesn't look, there's dust covering, some of the potions and things like that. It's very dirty. It doesn't look anything near as clean or as precise as the pillbox did. Is it pillbox? Pillbug. Pillbug's pantry did. And he comes over to you. Yes, yes, yes. What can I help you with? What can I help you with?
Just looking for something to help get a kick in a fight, helping out the sheriff and all with some creatures that need some clearing out.
So at the mention of the sheriff and some creatures as opposed to goblins, he's kind of like, oh, you're one of the new. What are they calling you all? The heroes of Sandpoint. Yes, that's you, right? You're one of them.
I've heard a few people call us that, yeah.
Okay, and he asks your name.
Queso.
Okay. So Queso, come in, and he kind of closes the door to the shop, and he says, "Yes, we have all sorts of things that could help adventurers such as yourself. I would only ask that anybody you talk to, you let them know that you are a regular patron of the Bottled Solutions."
Oh, of course.
Okay, so at the sign of your willingness to advertise for him, he kind of sits up on the counter and says, "What can I help you with? What do you need?"
Just looking to get something with a little kick that can help in the fight. Potentially,
Okay.
I don't
He's
know how
got
to
all
word
sorts
this.
of stuff that can be helpful like that. Especially
Pouty's-
considering you're not a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I remembered the sheriff about that, right?
Sure.
I don't know if the shopkeeper got that talking to yet.
Correct. I mean that you did have a conversation with the sheriff that the shopkeeper needed to be I guess more tolerant of Sandpoint's newest residents. So he's not gonna just start throwing things at you.
Yeah.
So he needs
Okay.
to.
All right.
He
cool.
wants to know
I'll-
exactly what it is that you're looking for.
All right. Cool. He got some black adder venom.
His eyebrows kind of go up. His eyes get big. He's like, "You are looking for quite the kick, aren't you?" And he tells you to just sit right there, and then he kind of goes behind the counter, and you hear some rummaging around, and maybe a bottle or two fall, and he said, there's some sort of cursing that happens under his breath, and you might see a little smoke and hear a little sizzling coming from the back, and then he produces, up from behind the counter comes a hand with a bottle. Then he just kind of sets it on top of the counter. And then you kind of see his head raise up and he kind of looks at you. He's like, "Was this the type of kicks that you were looking for?" Just trying to be funny with, adding the little hissing of a snake in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And you can see the contents of the bottle appear to be similar enough to Blackadder venom.
Just from a quick cursory glance at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's the right color, it's the right consistency because he kind of he didn't slam it down necessarily, but
Yeah.
he didn't gingerly set it down either. To where one gave you a little bit of pause that this person doesn't really know what it is that they're dealing with, or maybe doesn't care necessarily. But the viscosity of the liquid inside appeared to be approximately right. You're not sure how fresh it is. It is capped with cork, and you would anticipate something like that capped with wax or some other less irritable material.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't suppose there's any way I can test this, eh? All right.
You could give me a crafting check.
All right.
I mean, it looks perfectly good to you.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I will. I'll take it then.
Okay. He kind of extends it out, but he says, "Now remember, as you're, winning battles and gaining glory, you need to let everybody know that the bottled solution is the premier, place to go when you're looking for, either things to help you up or give your daggers a kick."
Oh, of course.
Okay. So, you're giving him 6 gold?
Yeah, 6 gold.
Okay. So he, greedily palms the 6 gold and hands it to you. And when the time comes, I'll let you know if it works or not.
Well, yeah. All right. That's it for now.
There's probably, how does this work? You get doses of it or something, or what's the?
I'm not sure.
Technically, it would be single use, which would be pretty damn expensive at the moment.
Yeah, that's pricey. That's a level 2 item. So that's those are. I'm imagining it adds a D6 or something like that.
Stage 1 D8, stage 2 D10, and stage 3 2D6.
Wow, and that's pretty. That's like a temporary rune of striking. So that's really, really good. So.
Yeah, but it's still just one hit, and then against DC.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh.
Anybody? Was there anybody else that wanted to do something in the morning still?
I wouldn't mind going by a weapon shop.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead, Shion.
You want Shion to go first? All right, Shion. Well, Shion's doing investigation with the sheriff and stuff, right?
Yeah, and the Father Santos.
Father Xantus, right? Yeah. So Sabina, let's go ahead and get you done first, and because I'm imagining it's not the puppet by himself going to the sheriff. So what are you looking for?
No, I'd like to go with him.
Yeah. What are
Yeah,
you looking for?
I just
Sabina?
wanted to stop by and get something one-handed.
Okay.
Maybe a warhammer.
Sure. So you probably Savaz Armory is going to be the. Let's see. Let me make sure. Oh. Let's see. There's the general store, the academy, grocery store, fine clothing. I know that there's an armory here someplace. Sorry. This
Yeah,
isn't
there
my-
was Savaz Armory and the Red Dog Smithy.
Okay.
Either one, whichever's probably more on the way to the sheriff's. If that's
Okay.
easy.
So yeah, the armory's right up by the garrison. So you go there. You're greeted by. You are greeted by the owner, Sava.
Hello.
Bevanaki. I don't know if you've been told that name before. But it's a female human. Looks like she knows her way around weaponry quite a bit. She's got a couple daggers on her belt. When she sees you, her eyes light up. She welcomes you in. Starts kind of showing you around, telling you that she heard about how you, took on 20 people at the tug of war and had the most points at the Sandpoint Festival or something like that. Doesn't really care if any of that's true, right? That's just what she's heard. She heard that you single-handedly took out, a half a dozen goblins, and that even though you were at a severe beating, just refused to go down kind of situation. And so you see all sorts of both normal and exotic weapons, displayed. There is that one particularly beautiful repeating crossbow that's got a beautiful dark wood and ivory stock, and below it you see that there's a plaque with the name Vensaya, excuse me, Vansaya.
Yes, it's very nice, but I don't think I'd be very good with one of those.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't point that out to you. You just kind of see it, and it's clearly has a place of honor within the pantheon of the rest of the things there.
Gotcha.
What are she asks how she can help you.
Well, I got this nice shield for coming in first at the whole festival thing.
Sure.
But I don't have anything good to use it with. I've only got this like big axe, but it's kind of unwieldy to use with the shield.
Sure. So you're looking for a warhammer?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good choice.
So she'll ask, she's like, I've got plenty of warhammers, several actually to choose from. What kind of budget are you looking to spend? And it's clear that she has access to runes and things like that, to where, if you had the gold, she might be able to help you, put something really nice together.
Nothing too pricey. I don't have that much.
She kind of deflates a little bit at the thought that you won't be able to, spend a bit of money. I'm not going to make you wait a week, Danny.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so she'll just go and produce a nicely crafted warhammer. But there's no runes in it or anything like that, and bring it to you.
Out of curiosity, how much does one with runes cost?
Yeah. So, you're asking me or you're asking her?
Her.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind coming back when I get more money.
Out of
So a
character, I'm pretty sure they're a
normal
level
sort of
4
like
thing.
basic rune, right? And she'll tell you like, well, so for somebody who's not here, who's just looking to have the weapon be improved, you can get a nice rune for about 65 gold. For you, somebody with your reputation, if you shop here and you're willing to let people know that you shop here, I could take 7 gold off the price. Call it 58.
I'll keep it in mind.
After that, it really gets quite expensive, and I've found that there's really no need for me to keep any, my gold, wrapped up in an item of that nature. But if you're looking for that type of thing, you might find it better suited in Magnamar or one of the larger settlements.
Good to know. Yeah. If I can get my hands on that much money, I'll definitely return here.
She loves that, her eyes kind of light up with that. And, she makes a joke about how she doesn't suppose that you'll need gift wrapping or anything. But you look over the Warhammer, and it bears the symbol that you saw on the front of the door, to where you can tell that this was actually smithed locally, and has, a nice, the metal's, quite a good shape, and the leather, for the hand wrap, or for the pommel, whatever the part of the weapon is that you actually put the grip, essentially, appears to be of fine quality. So whatever the cost for a Warhammer is, you can deduct that, and it's probably a couple gold, 4 or 5
I think
gold.
base cost is 1 gold.
1 gold. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
All right. I'll thank her and be on my way.
Okay. So the rest of you, or whoever's headed for the for the what's it called, for the investigation purposes of it, Xion, damage.
I would also be there.
Okay.
I'd be there. I am needed.
Okay.
Same.
So you all head to. Do you want to head to the sheriff first, or do you want to head to Father Xantus first?
Either way is fine.
Well, I'm not going to tell you which way to go.
Talking about the group. Does
Probably.
anyone...
I mean,
from what we did at the graveyard, I would ask Father Ventus first, but not sure.
well, who sent us to the graveyard? It was the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the sheriff.
So I would go question him first. It doesn't matter either way.
Well, I would go meet you guys.
Were we at the
first, right?
graveyard with the sheriff or just with one of his guards?
I think it was with the sheriff, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Sheriff
me
was
too.
there,
That's why I
yeah.
wanted to go check with the father first.
Yeah, if the sheriff was there, then let's go talk to Xantus.
Okay. So you're going to go to Father Xantus first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you head back to the chapel. The boneyard looks very perfect, Saban. Thank you. The boneyard looks very different than what it had previously. The air of sort of death and decay is gone. But where you see that, I mean, you guys aren't in the boneyard. You just saw it as you approached. And you're actually entering through you head up to the chapel. It is the western entrance, which is where right, you kind of go through the courtyard that just a day ago was filled with goblin and bodies and things like that. You can tell that there's been quite a bit of cleaning that's happened. It's kind of weird that it looks as clean as it does. There is some stains of where some blood has seeped into the ground. There's some charring on some of the nearby buildings from the fire that took place. But for the most part, if you had shown up here, there's a decent chance that you wouldn't have known that just 24 hours earlier there was a large goblin raid that had taken place. The doors to the chapel are closed, however, when you approach.
Hmm. So they were always open when we came previously?
Um, yesterday they were probably open during the, you know, at several times they were closed, but at the end of the day, right when he was making his speech, they were open as it was. You kind of had the understanding that there would be people would be welcomed into the chapel at the end of the festival as kind of the final, grand finale type of situation. When you've been here before, um, they've probably been open. But there was always like an acolyte or something sitting in the front. Right now they're closed, and there's two of the town guards kind of stationed at the entrance.
Okay, I'll walk up to them and ask if we can be let in.
The guards kind of look at you quizzically. Excuse me. Ugh. But they says, can I get your name?
I'll tell them that my name is Blondie and I wanted to check in with Father Santos after the unfortunate events of yesterday.
The guard kind of says, well, that's a pretty massive understatement. But he says, I will, if you can wait here, I will see if he's available. He's obviously very busy dealing with the unfortunate events of yesterday and kind of, echoes what you called it. He opens the door, slides in. A couple minutes later, comes back and says, Father Xantus will see you.
Perfect.
And he and the other guard, kind of one is in front of you, and then your group is in follows him, and then the other guard is behind you, and they take you down a series of hallways, the end of which is and you guys hear, you can tell that you're not the only people in here, but your footsteps are kind of echoing. You might hear some chanting and things like that. Maybe some like carpentry work happening, or some masonry work that's taking place. It doesn't appear to be in use from a religious standpoint quite yet. But you kind of walk past that open air area in the center, and you can tell that the stones there are quite old, older than anything else that you've seen in Sandpoint. Maybe the old light, but it's really impossible to tell which one of those two things is older at this point. But they kind of give you the same feeling of antiquity. And then at the end of the hallway, you see a room. You can see the door is open. You hear some shuffling and things like that in the hallway. There's somebody clearly talking in the room. And you see like sort of large bookshelves and a desk as you approach. So the first guard kind of stops right at the door, and then kind of is ushering you in. You all kind of have to crowd in because it's not that large of a room, pretty small office. But you see Father Xantus kind of rifling through various scrolls, books, kind of strewn all over the place.
Okay, I guess I'll walk up and first just look him over, see how he's looking.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
There it is. Oh, that's to myself. No, it's
Well,
to Jay.
actually, I'm gonna actually roll it for you. What is your bonus? 8?
+4.
+4.
Yep.
Okay.
I just rolled really well.
Yeah, so there's how is it only +4? Because you're charisma based?
Because I have 0 wisdom.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so he looks much as he did yesterday. There's really, um, you don't notice anything out of the ordinary with him.
Okay, then I'll walk up and just ask him how he's doing.
He kind of, turns to you with a start. It's clear that he didn't even notice that you guys, even though you're all taking up, half the room at this point. It's almost like he didn't even notice you come in. And he kind of looks at you with a bit of incredulity and snaps back with some anger that you hadn't seen from him before about well, how do you think I'm doing kind of situation. This has been a terrible, yesterday was supposed to be a wonderful day of joy and celebration, and look how it turned out. And now this madness um with Ezekiel or Ezekian or whatever, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but his former boss, it's just terrible. And then but by the time he kind of ends the sentence, it's clear that he realizes that he's overreacted to your question, and ends up apologizing, saying that he hasn't slept, and he's just looking for answers.
Okay.
With that, he looks at all of you and says, shouldn't you be out doing the same?
Well, we should tell him about. Well, I guess Rose will just come up and tell him about the graveyard and that they were investigating. We've been investigating and what we found out.
He says, yes, the sheriff told me, Bellor told me that you guys went, and then that's what added more, to my, that's what has basically kept me up all night trying to figure out what this robe. And you look over, and in the corner you see the robe that was found in the tomb. It's kind of crumpled up in the corner, between this robe and then, what could it mean that the father's remains were taken? What could it all mean? What could it all mean? And he's kind of, mumbles to himself, what could it all mean?
Gonna ask, so I'm assuming that the remains that are missing were the old.
Yeah, Ezekian Tobin.
Father Ezekian, that was it.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna ask if were you aware of, or are you aware of, the type of studies Father Ezekian took part in? What were his interests?
I mean, his interests were the spiritual salvation of the members of this community. I knew him to be interested in nothing else. He was a good man who, worshipped, Desna, but, made the chapel available to all members of the community. And that's why we chose not to have it. The chapel isn't, dedicated to a specific god, and it is, all worshippers of good are welcome here.
So no enemies,
I mean,
no one who would
any man who
wish to
lives
defile a corpse.
Any man who lives as long as Father Tobin, is bound to make some enemies for no fault of their own. Whenever you help somebody, some other people see that as hurting them, but certainly nobody that you know, enough to defile his grave. Like at this point, what's there to be gained by taking his remains? It's awful,
That's what
right?
we're investigating.
Yeah, and as am I. And he kind of like spreads his hand out to all of the scrolls and books and whatnot that are kind of strewn about the place. Unfortunately, I've reached dead end after dead end. It all seems very, whatever it is, it's vile and has the tinge of necromancy to it.
I'm gonna kind of perch up when he mentions necromancy, and I'm gonna. Has there been any reports of necromantic activity in the area?
You mean other than the skeletons attacking you just last night?
Well, of course.
And again, he goes from being sort of posturing aggressively to slumping down, and
Necromancy hardly ever starts with. There are signs. Surely, someone had reported something.
No, he says, listen, he's like, there's a chance that something may have slipped my attention as all of my efforts and resources in the last several weeks were going towards preparation for the festival. I can ask my acolytes, but as far as I know, this was, well, we were caught completely unawares. Gian, Mar.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Mars muted. Okay.
I don't know if my character really wouldn't say. I don't think she would be that involved with this. I think she would just be listening in. I'm trying to think what my character would say, but I don't know if she would know
Cal?
anything else to add.
All right, I'm gonna ask him how familiar are you with necromancy?
He kind of is taken back by the question. It says the only studying of necromancy that he does is in treatment of wounds. Desna, forbids dabbling in those arts ever. And so, and he'd have no reason to. Life is meant to be, fleeting, and he value, the temporariness of life is part of what gives us its value, and he kind of, starts rambling about, the Desna's words and, the things that, give life, make life worth living are all temporary things, essentially.
Can I see if he's holding anything back or
Sure.
hiding anything? Would that
So
be
do you want to do
perception or deception?
perception or deception? Either one. Which one would you like to use?
I'll just do perception.
Oh, I'm gonna roll it for you.
Okay.
So what's your?
Let me disable this then. Oh, that's on the bear. That's why that was so low. Hold on. My perception is 5.
Okay. Yeah. Again, as he starts talking about, Desna, it's very clear that he almost sort of like, you can tell that he's incredibly devoted, and that the speech that he's giving, it's clearly part of like some sermon that he gave at some point, right? Or at least a study group or something along those lines, where he's very, these words are automatic coming out of him, and it's very, you find that they all, seem to ring truer out of his mouth than what they would coming out of anybody else's. So you don't have any reason to believe that he's holding anything back from you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna respond with well, I'm just gonna nod. And just say if there are walking skeletons in the town, any information, no matter how small, could be important.
Well, he kind of says, I don't believe the skeletons walked into town. I think that the guards would have done a good job of being able to spot them, regardless of how much wine they'd partaken in.
The fact that they
for the
rose
festival.
from the ground within the walls is surely more concerning than if they had just stumbled in.
Yes, but he goes over to the robe and kind of slams it on his desk and says, "This is undoubtedly the one thing that I have been able to surmise is that this, piece of defiled magic was undoubtedly the source of these skeletal fiends that you came in contact with. A last slap in the face to anybody who would, check after Father Xanthus's or not Xanthus, Father Tobin's remains."
And then when he slams this robe, are there any like discernible markings, like its insignias,
No,
anything?
it looks very much the same as you found it last night, right? The only thing that makes it
I
just
wasn't
not
here last night.
Oh, well, okay, sorry. The only thing that makes it look any different than just like a normal black robe is the fact that there's clearly places where there have been patches that have been torn from it. So where you can see like frayed frayed stitching, things like that of that nature, where he kind of, and
Does
Father
this
Xanthus kind of like lifts up, shows you a specific area, and he'll kind of it's clear that he doesn't really like touching the thing, but so like when he's pointing it out to you, he'll kind of like move his hand over it, but keep it, away from touching it, and say like, here's where one of the patches were that, somebody whose vile magic, who's willing to touch such things could take a patch of, one of the patches and rip it off and throw it to the ground, and there a skeleton would arise, type of situation. And you see that there's, he points out that there's approximately 5 such places where these patches could have existed, but there aren't any patches remaining on it. And they
Gotcha.
fought 2 skeletons last time.
Okay.
I need it. So
And
I need
so
I need about 3 minutes. So
right.
why don't we take 5, and then we'll come back to the rest of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.